So we have the story of the actor on the yacht. He's setting sail to save the planet from plastic. Actor Phil Somerville is moving back here after years in LA. He's coming home via boat and testing for levels of plastic in the ocean as he goes. Now, he wants to figure out how much of the 8 million tonnes of plastic that is dumped in the ocean every year is entering the food chain. It's an 8,000 nautical mile trip that will take 4 months, and helping him is Chris Dickson, who's been on a boat or two in his time. Good morning to both of you.
Morning, Mike.
Good morning. So let's start. First of all, you, Phil. So you're one of these actor people who's done a lot of amazing stuff, and people recognise your work. And you've just finished Mission Impossible, for example, in London with what's the guy's name who stars in that?
That's Tom Cruise.
That's right. was that when I was reading in the British press the other day, by the way, where he injured himself in one of the stunts? Is that the movie that's you've been on?
Yeah, correct. That is the movie, and we shot down in Queenstown first, and then most of it in studio in London.
So you've been a life on the road, being an actor, living the dream.
I wouldn't say it's living the dream, but I've been in California now for 20 years, and sort of following that path. But I started in New Zealand as a schoolboy and sort of went on from there.
And you've been an Iron Man as well. People recognise you from Iron Man.
I've done a few stunts in movies as well, because a lot of my friends are coordinators in the movies, so they've dragged me in to do these stunts.
So what are you actually? You an actor, a stuntman, a bit of both, sailor, an environmentalist?
Yeah, pretty much all of that strung together.
Really? So where's the environmental side of it come from?
I grew up in New Zealand. I love the water. I love sailing, surfing, jet skiing. I love being in the water, under it. And over the years, I've seen it, deteriorate quite badly. And I've got a couple of boys now, so I want them to live what I've lived and sail what I've sailed and see the same things, hopefully.
And
so it sort of stems from
so
that.
you need someone to drive this thing. I mean, because first of all, Los Angeles, and I know nothing about the water, Los Angeles to Auckland's quite the distance.
It is. Yeah.
And normally when I do it, I fly.
Yeah.
So this is a slightly different route. So do many people do this? It strikes me as an unusual thing to do it, an unusual route in and of itself.
It's a big bucket list for a lot of people. Usually they leave a little bit closer to land than what we're doing, but chosen to go this route because it's uncharted waters for data collecting, and we need that data for a lot of the organisations that we support.
Right. So it's your idea. You think, I'm going to sail a boat and we're going to test the plastic, and that's how we're going to do it.
Well, actually, the idea stemmed from a good friend of mine here. It's actually, I think he was Kiwi of the Year or something, Hayden Smith with Sea Cleaners.
Yes.
And they do a fantastic job of cleaning up, locally in New Zealand, and have been doing it for 15 years now. So really big hats off to them. But he sort of gave me the idea, along with a guy named Campbell who does Ocean Aid and lovethesea.org in Hawaii. So we were just talking one day, and I went to a meeting with those guys and met another foundation, which was Algalita Foundation, and they're a big environmentalist program. They've been doing it for 15 years as well, gathering the data basically from mainland to Hawaii.
Yep.
Captain Charles Moore's in charge of that program, and actually a local girl, Raquel Devine, who I've just met recently, Kiwi. She's in charge of the South Pacific division for New Zealand, and she's going to mainly work around the islands, so Tonga, Fiji, South Pacific. And that's
so the reason you're doing the route is because it's under no data.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Chris, you come in, and so is this like easy for you? Is this like Los Angeles, Auckland? Why not?
Well, as you said, Mike, flying from Auckland to LA always seems like a damn long flight. Next time you do it, look out the window at the ocean. It's going to be a lot longer on a little yacht crossing the big blue Pacific. But the team needs data. They're towing a sieve, like a spaghetti strainer of a type, if you like, to collect water samples at various stages all the way across. It's a sailing yacht. That's what I do, getting boats from A to B in a safe way and getting the boat and the crew there safely.
So what sort of boat or yacht are we dealing with here?
This is a 53-foot cruising yacht, if you like. It's got 3 cabins, but it needs... It's got to be sailed. There's a bit of diesel on board, but not enough to motor, so it's a lot of sailing involved. There's thousands of miles of ocean to cross, weeks and weeks at sea, and it's a scientific expedition as well.
So 54 feet doesn't sound that big. in the Pacific Ocean. Are you testing yourself here a bit?
Speaking from experience, doesn't matter what size boat you're on, it's never big enough. And you prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And I've been out there in some of the ugliest stuff, and when it happens, the boat's never big enough. So anyway.
It is what it is. How about the weather in that part of the world? You think of the Pacific as being relatively benign, especially off the California coast. It's a beautiful sunny day, there's a gentle breeze. Is it going to be like that, Chris?
Well, first stop's the Marquesas, which sounds equally inviting. Reality is 90% of the time it's exactly like that, but it is a big ocean, and we see from our own weather in New Zealand, it can change on the turn of a dime, and you've got to prepare for that, and you try and avoid the storms. But reality, if you're at sea for a month, you're probably going to get hit at some point. You better be ready for it when it comes.
How many on board, Phil?
At this stage, we've got, I'd say 4 or 5. We've got 5, and we need a cook.
So you haven't got a cook. I do not cook. So you've only got 4 or 5 on a 54-footer in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you like packing it? Are you like freaking out?
Well, if I wasn't say I was nervous, I'd be lying. But I've done a few.
So you
races
bring
myself.
experience. You bring experience.
I've done a few coastal classics and carbo races and stuff, but nothing this extreme.
Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry. So talk to me about. So you're collecting the data, other parts of the world. So what I know about plastic in the ocean is there's a lot of it. There's far too much of it, and we need to do something about it. Is that about where we're at, or do we not know how bad it is?
We know we're in a critical stage right now, and we know that the I'd say single-use plastics are the biggest culprit. We also know that 8 million tonnes, like you said, is being dumped into the ocean yearly. So we've got to fix that issue, right? A lot of the third world countries and even first world countries are dumping plastic, and you might know that China have just said no more plastic, we're not taking it.
Yep.
So where does it go? Well, they're either going to burn it, or they're going to landfill it, or it's going to be dumped in the ocean. So I'd say it's going to get worse.
What about, I don't know if you've heard this, but in the last couple of days, science has discovered an enzyme, and it's going to eat it.
Yeah.
So I'm eternally optimistic that science in some way, shape or form will save us all, because we're clearly not capable of saving ourselves.
I'd like to think that that's definitely going to happen. I'd say right now, again, we're in a critical stage, and everybody on the planet really has to do their part. So we're going to teach them through programs and through this information that we give to these organisations that we're supporting and giving data to, and they can go out and arm themselves with this data to successfully go after banning plastics, basically, and coming up with decent solutions.
Are you an environmentalist, Chris?
Yes, I am. Like most people, I like trees. I like wildlife. It has its place. It's got. I'm for balance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've planted tens of thousands of native plants on properties I own over recent years. Built a fish ladder to let fish get up the stream on one of my properties a couple of years ago. Yes, I want to look after the environment. The plastic issue for me is a big one, because we know it's entered the food chain.
Yeah.
When we're eating fish, we're eating plastic, and it's probably at a point now where the damage or what it's doing is unknown, and Phil's project of getting that scientific data to back up how much is out there is really important. But probably a little bit like on land with steroids and chicken years ago, and what herbicides and pesticides. The ocean's issue is a bit the same.
Having said that, have you noticed, because that's the interesting point, so how do you collect data, Phil, if it's in a fish? So what you're looking at in the middle of the ocean is stuff bobbing about, aren't you, and all the trash that's floating. How do you know it's in a fish? And how do you mark and track all that?
Yeah, well, that's another job for another scientist.
Yeah.
But basically, they do already know that I think 35 to 40% of all fish are so far contaminated with plastic, which is a big number. And we also know that the birds are eating the fish, the birds are dying, the turtles are dying, a lot of the sea animals, including the plankton, are dying. Whales, any sort of whale sharks that are swimming through with their mouths open or anything like that is ingesting plastic. So it's
What about the psychology? Have you thought about this, Chris? What about the psychology? You would know this better than anybody else. So you got these guys stuck on a boat for 4 months, right? And your intense times, you've all got to get on together because you're in such a confined space, aren't you? You know what I'm saying? And you've got some people. You've got Zoe Bell coming in, who I know, and Martin Henderson, who are nice people. Mm-hmm. But I mean, are they nice people under pressure? I mean, what if they turn out to be a pain in the ass? You know what I'm saying? And there's like a mutiny on the ship. And you're all, you know, it could go horrifically wrong. Have you thought about that?
You've got me thinking about it now. I was going to say, no, I haven't thought about that, but it's something that's always there. And that's why on an aeroplane or a ship or a boat, you have a captain. Yeah. And when the captain says, that's it, and Phil's the captain. And
you're the boss.
Phil's the boss, and somebody's got to, call time on that stuff. But reality, you're running a boat. You've got a mission to do. You're running it 24 hours a day. You're on watch. You're off watch. Sure. You're so damn busy running the boat, keeping the systems going, doing the scientific research. Generally, yacht racing's the same. People don't have enough time to think about other stuff.
So the Martin Henderson, Zoe Bells and stuff, they'll pop into an island where you stop along the way and join the trip. Is that the plan?
Correct. Yeah, Martin and Zoe have basically put up their hand to help the lovers of the ocean. We surf a lot together and do a lot of things together, and he's a big sailor himself, Marty. So he's been in a few storms, and he's come out trumps. And of course, Zoe's one of the best stunt women in the world, so she handles
It'll be fantastic.
Very well.
Do you guys have communication on the boat? Can I ring you like halfway through the thing and go, how you going? And
yeah, we will have an Iridium Go and a predict wind with us. So
that means nothing to me. You got a phone number or not?
We do.
Good. Okay. So
we can make it happen.
But it goes by satellite. Don't talk for too long.
Oh
please.
Yeah, too expensive. It's $99 a minute. Listen, good luck to both of you. Well done. Exactly. Good luck, Phil Somerville, Chris Dickson. Nice to see you both.
Thanks very much.
Good on you.